Saturday morning, and I'm driving back to the Red Power Roundup for a couple hours, and driving through the countryside, kind of a two-lane road, and just kind of marveling at the big farm fields up here around the Springfield, Ohio area. And you know, the farm fields that we have down in the mountains of Virginia, where I live, there's not much in the way of row cropping. There's really not any row cropping that goes on, and the nearest thing to corn planting is you know, somebody's deer plot. But I don't know how well you can see, and I'm going to kind of concentrate on driving and just kind of hold this video camera out to one side or another while I talk. But you can see some of these fields are just huge as compared to, you know, the mountain fields in Virginia. And then you get to the Red Power show, and you see all of these Farmall H&Ms and even the 786, or not, you know, the 986s, 1066s, some of those tractors. And but when you get to the M's and the H350s, 450s, there was a limit to how much acreage you could physically farm. And so I look at these fields and I think to myself, every one of these big fields could have been a farm back in the day, just like it would be in the mountains of Virginia. Each one of these fields in the mountains of Virginia would represent a farm. And so you can only imagine how much, you know, you can only imagine how many of those tractors, all brands, you know, WD-45 Alice Chandlers and Case, J.I. Case. You can only imagine that every farm had to have one or two tractors. And the market had to have been immense. And just to be up in this area, and the sun's glaring down. The sun's really bright here this morning, but you know, to be in this area, back then, to see all these tractors working, plowing and planting and harvesting back in the day would have been really a sight to behold. I wish we had videos from back then, in, you know, in the numbers that we do now. We have videos of everything now. Right here's a field of soybeans, and the rows just go on and on and on. And you know, who knows how many acres that is over there. And then on this side of the road, it's the same thing. And you see fields like this all up and down this road as I go along towards the show in Springfield. So right over there is an old silo and a few cattle here, but for the most part, I don't see a lot of farm buildings. And imagine there's a handful of farmers that do all of this acreage out through here. And I guess they do their harvest and take it to the elevator. There's an elevator that I drive by on the way to the fairgrounds. And but you don't really see a lot of farm infrastructure. It's just field upon field upon field. And right now, I guess it's just not the time of year to be in a field with a tractor. I don't see much in the way of machinery out and about. I think the work is done, and I don't know, maybe they come back and spray or do something. I really don't know. I'm not a row cropper farm. Interestingly, some of the corn is like, it's not waist high in July, but it's up to your thigh. And then there's other corn or soybeans or something that's planted, you know, that's like 2 or 3 inches tall. And I know they've had a lot of rain up here, which might account for that. I've seen some wheat, what I think is wheat, and I guess they'll double crop that, maybe go into soybeans after the wheat. And I talked to a friend of mine that lives up in this area, and he, you know, as big as these fields are relative to you know, the fields in the mountains of Virginia, and right there's another, if you can see it, there's another couple of silos over there that are abandoned. But you know, he's talked of, like, when you get on up into northwest Ohio, around Toledo, up in that area, the fields are just, these are small fields. And I think the same thing probably is true with regards to, you know, Iowa and Nebraska, you know, states like that. It's funny how everything is relative. And so there's a tile digging apparatus on the back of that tractor back there, and a dozer over here. It looks like they put some tile in this field over here to my right. But it's impressive to see all of the corn and soybeans. I have to believe at one time there was a heavy dairy presence in the area, but unlike the mountains of Virginia, where I'm from, you know, there used to be a lot of dairies, little small mom and pop dairies, and the silos and the barns were kind of evidence of that. There's a couple more old silos and an old farmhouse. You don't really see a lot of old farmhouses around here, and it may be, you know, I don't know the magnitude of, you know, what acreage is, you know, but you can look out through there. You might be able to see some brown off in the distance. I think we get up here a little closer, you'll see it at the side of the road, but I think what that is wheat. And but don't see a lot of old farmhouses, or if I do, they're kind of a long ways between. Here's probably, I think this is wheat, and but probably you know, like this farmhouse we're passing right now, I'm thinking probably you know, they were few and far between, because there was plenty of acreage between them, even back in the Farm All H days. But I gotta believe a lot of this farm infrastructure has been torn down in order to just have these huge giant fields on both sides of the road. It's quite the sight. And some of these fields, you know, there's no mountains like in Virginia, in the mountains of Virginia, and it might be, it's somewhat rolly maybe, but for the most part it's just flat. And there's a few fields where the horizon is the end of the field. You can't really see, you know, the end of the field. And but we share a commonality, you know, we both get dirt under our fingernails. I guess the guys, you know, driving the giant tractors and combines, you know, farming is still a lot of work, even with modern equipment. You know, when you look at all of the labor that still has to go into it. Traffic is almost non-existent here this morning. It's just a real quiet Saturday morning. You know, you look out across these fields and, you know, there's no natural barriers. There's nothing to interfere with a with a tornado rolling through. And I'm sure these people have seen one surely in their lifetime. Agriculture, I think people underestimate the magnitude of agriculture and how big it is. And, you know, just we're catering to, you know, horse hay and goat hay customers on an individual level. These guys are feeding the world, and the amount of production they get out of these fields is just astronomical. And as fewer and fewer people can invest in it, I mean, I'm not sure. I'm gonna have a video at some point, one of my starting a hay farm videos, and talk about purchasing land and things like that. But you know, to be able to buy land like, you know, what I'm seeing driving through here, that would be an onerous thing financially for somebody just starting out. And a lot of these farms, you know, it's family land, farms that have been bought and sold. Somebody got out of it. You know, a family, you know, a farm couple that got old and retired, sold their farm, or they left it to their children. And then I guess leasing land is a big deal. And I mean, if you own the land, if you own one of these big fields, what else are you going to do except lease it? You know, if you're not going to farm it. I should think the taxes would eat you up. And but on a smaller scale, like we are, it is possible to make a go of it and make money. You're just the investment is small, in magnitudes of order smaller than, you know, anything you could do on these big farms. Here's some more wheat over here. And but to buy one of these big farms, it would just be I don't know how you do it. And I guess that's how the corporate farms move in. You know, they have big money and they have investors, and you know, you think about a corporation that owns a farm, it's probably just like any other corporation. I mean, I'm going to see Red Power show. I'm on my way to see that. Ultimately, International Harvester on the agriculture side had to give it up, and but you know, businesses, they don't look at a finite span like a person does. You know, you start out, you live in your prime, and then you kind of wind things down when you retire. A business, and I'll have a video on this too, talking about it, but a business, they don't look at an end game. The end game is to keep growing and investing. I'll come back. So I pull off side of the road here, and I thought I'd just get out and have a few final comments. I'm getting closer to actual Springfield. and so the traffic's picked up. So I just thought I'd pull over, and you see the cornfield over there. I realize the sun's right facing right down. You can see some farm infrastructure in an old farmhouse over there. There's an abandoned silo, but I see a grain setup way off in the distance. And then if I come over to this side where you can probably see a little better without the sun messing up the view, but it's beautiful country. People comment about the mountains being beautiful, and they are, but it's just something about farmland and the views of it all, and agriculture. Even though it's gotten bigger and bigger, it's still a part of the fabric of this country, and I'm glad to be a part of it. So that's the video. We'll kind of leave it here, and like I say, I'm heading back to the Red Power Roundup, and then I'll be heading back home to Virginia. But I thought I'd just take a few minutes and share the countryside and what it looks like up here. One of these days I'd like to get out to Iowa, some of those bigger farms, and it'd be nice to be in an area like this or out there during harvest, see the combines at work. So we'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed the video, and probably by the time you see this video, you'll see my video on the Red Power show. So we'll talk to you later. Comment, subscribe, and we'll see you down the road.